Aloha everybody, my name is Noel Richardson and I am the 2025 National Distinguished Principal for Windward District nominee. This is my third year entering into Enchanted Lake as principal. Before that I was 16 years as principal at Waimanalo Elementary and Intermediate School and then 1 year as the action-oriented DES for Windward District. Fun fact about my school, there is no Enchanted Lake. Before the 1960s, Enchanted Lake was known as Kaleopulu Pond, and the developer Lone Star came into the area to develop the area and decided that they would rename it Enchanted Lake to entice people to move into the area. So that's just a couple of fun facts about my school, and let's get into the presentation. So here in the Windward District, we use a process called Instructional Leadership Team, or ILT. And part of that process is looking at our targeted instructional area, and for us here at Enchanted Lake Elementary School, that area is mathematics. As we go through that process, what we're looking at is how can we strengthen our instructional practices in the classroom, and how can we eventually meet our key performance indicator of 77% proficiency in mathematics. The focus on that is through our data team process here at Enchanted Lake Elementary. The first step in the data team process is creating a sense of urgency. And for us, that was the key performance indicators that were outlined by the state. For our school, our target projection for 2029 is 77%. And at first glance, that seemed like a heavy lift to us, but we're up to the task. So we begin the process by looking at our math data, and we realize that really we need to be looking at data that's actionable. And that is student work data. It's part of the data team process in step one. So looking at the student work and determining where they're at in terms of the essential standards is step one in this process that we use at our school. Step two is develop a protocol. So the first thing we did in developing a protocol was taking a look at the framework for continuous school improvement and making it into a protocol that teachers can easily understand. They took the protocol and they have to give a pre-test before they do instruction. From the pre-test, the teachers chart the data of students well below, approaching, meets, and exceeds. Then they think about the strategies looking at the student work and common mistakes that they made that they're going to integrate in their lessons. The teachers do the lesson and they follow up with the same test as a post-test and they chart the results. What we're looking for is 80% of the students meets or exceeds the assessment. Part of this is teacher reflection. This is critical in the process. The teachers are reflecting on the instructional strategies, what worked, what didn't work, but what are some next steps that they need to help assist the students moving forward. This process continues for the next round of assessments that are linked to the essential standards. Step three is creating systems of support to do the data team process. Before you get into the data team process, there's several things you need to consider because the data team process is only one small slice of the pie. Things to consider at the school are the following. Does your master schedule support at least 60 minutes of teachers meeting and reflecting on student work and data and developing a plan? 2, what assessments are you going to look at? Are you going to look at the curriculum assessments, or are you going to look at the interim blocks of assessments for grades 3 and up through the Smarter Balance resources? What other supports and training do teachers need to look at or receive in order to implement this system with fidelity? And how does this impact other systems at the school like MTSS and RTI? These parts feed into that. And finally, how do you celebrate success? Here's my reflection on some of the strengths and challenges of implementing the data team system at Enchanted Lake Elementary School. So my first year working with the school, I was the action-oriented DES, and our baseline was 60% math. And that year, in partial implementation, we improved from 60% up to 70%. As my first year as principal implementing the data team process, we improved from 70% to 78%, so pretty good gains. But then we encountered implementation dip. And this is when the sigmoid curve comes into play, where when you're implementing anything new at a school or any type of system, you're going to have an implementation dip, and then you'll see gains, and then you'll see a dip. What you do during those dips is important, and this is where reciprocal accountability comes in. Accountability relies in 4 areas: training, knowledge, resources, and support to teachers. Those 4 things keep your growth going. So be cognizant of that And remember that whatever you focus on becomes important to you. So for me, part of the challenge was maintaining the focus on the data team process, which I will fully admit I did not do in my second year of doing this. And as a result, half of my third grade slipped by drastically. And this was due to a myriad of things, but some things were out of my control, but other things as the instructional leader of the school, I should have spent more time with that grade level team and looking at those things. So those are some of the strengths and some of the challenges and some of the results of using the data team process. So here's some advice that I would give to you as trying to implement data team process. For me, be reflective, think about the process, understand the process yourself as an instructional leader, support your teachers in their efforts and what they need to do. Let the data create a sense of urgency for your school. Be supportive with them and give them the resources that they need to do this process with fidelity. Allow flexibility for your teachers that want to fly and shine, and if doing this process organically, don't stifle that, let them grow. But also make sure you have clear expectations for those teachers, because what you want to do is be able to replicate this process with any new teacher coming into your school. That is key. So that's my advice to you. Everyone a leader, everyone a learner. We is greater than me. Go slow to go fast. Aloha, everybody.